good news first. And I would say for myself, I got into digital starting in about 2007 because I was afraid. I was afraid of what I saw happening to the industry. I was afraid of what would happen if we didn't go where we needed to go. And once I dipped my toes in, I started having so much fun. I was having more fun than I'd had in years. So the momentum just built. The great thing about digital is the social aspect and the building communities aspect. And I appreciate I may be generalizing here, but I believe there's research to back this up. We are very social as a gender. We like relationships. We love to communicate. You know, everybody get into the conversation. That's us. And Kim, I don't mean to embarrass you, but there's a Vancouver Sun reporter here, Kim Boland, who has one of the most dangerous beats in the country. Has always been a no-holds-barred, hard news reporter, and boy, got into social very early on and built this incredible community with her blog. You know, this is an award-winning blog. It has a huge audience. It's got gangsters commenting. It's got police. It's got lawyers. Like, you name it, they're talking to Kim. And Kim just knew early on it's about the conversation, and it's about getting what you can from the community and working with the community. So we are good at that. You know, 54% of the Canadian Facebook audience is female. So there are wonderful opportunities for us there. The digital world, in terms of startups and new businesses, because it's youthful, you don't have a lot of the weird gender stuff that, you know, we face at my age in the mature industry, or let's just call it the mature industries. So there's great opportunity there as well. There's also the opportunity to build your brand, whether you're out on your own or whether you're within a traditional newsroom. Through social media, you build your own brand. And this is a fabulous opportunity that women should be very good at, and just do it. You don't need anybody's permission. You just do it as part of your job as a journalist. And just remember, too, with digital, it's as much about behavior, if not more, than it is about the tools, right? So the tools are important, but it's really the behavior is what counts. The bad news, of course, is that digital is putting a lot of pressure on these high-paid journalism jobs that come with a relative amount of job security. So, you know, in terms of that kind of job market, the news is not good. One of the things I mentioned, though, to Vivian, that I think is making it more difficult for women to get entry into journalism jobs is the abolition of mandatory retirement. Okay, so in the Vancouver Sun newsroom now, 10% of the newsroom is over 65. 70% is over 50. This is and I'm closing in on 65 myself, and I don't intend to stop working. So, you know, but this is posing a big barrier for young journalists in our businesses. And, you know, I can argue this one both ways. It's a really tough one, because there's no doubt in my mind that some people at 65 are still perfectly capable and better than some young people. However, you know, turnover is it's a good thing, and we need youth in our newsrooms to carry us successfully into the future. So that part's not so good.
Can I jump in there too? We need youth, and we really need diversity, right? I mean, that's what's killing us, is we've got this newsroom full of white people and we in Manitoba especially, we should be represented, so much better represented. And it is that issue. We've got a union, you know, we've got jobs for life, we've got people that are very good at what they do, but they're not going anywhere, and we cannot fix this. And it's a huge issue for me. I can't tell you how important it is for us. Emma mentioned it earlier, that, you know, when you have a perspective, or you come from a place of your own, you bring so much more and so many different things to the table, and we just don't have enough diversity in our newsrooms. It's terrible.
Yeah. Emma? I'll jump in there and say an interesting sort of perspective from my end is that I come from a newsroom where there's been a ton of buyouts. So it's interesting that there's kind of a big hole or gap where, there's a lot of us that are really young in the newsroom. And I would say many of us who are doing the really high profile, important beats in the newsroom are all in their late 20s, early 30s. And then there's very few people at the older end of the spectrum who can act as mentors or who have that institutional knowledge that's so important. So I think diversity is so important, not just in terms of race and gender and sexuality, but also in terms of age, because you don't want it to be too youth heavy, you don't want it to be too senior heavy, not senior, no, I didn't mean it that way, but I know, I'm sorry, I have to watch my language here. But it really is, it does affect the newsroom, and it does affect the caliber and the quality of what you do. I mean, we're a great digital newsroom, we're fantastic. I've already tweeted a couple times about this today. I have like 1,700 Twitter followers, but I mean, it's again, we're really great at that area, but in terms of the institutional knowledge and some of the guidance and support that we could have relied on from older colleagues, there's a little bit of a hole there, I think.
Yeah. I certainly felt that as a manager when I was promoted early in my 30s, and really appreciated having the reporters around who had covered, war criminals. Like, I don't know who they are. Can you help me out? And all of that institutional memory that just makes you a better editor. Yes. Anybody else on this topic?
I was just going to say, diversity obviously makes better newsrooms. I was just thinking about the structure at CTV, and while women have made great strides and we've got women in key positions, I can't think of a minority, a single one. In fact, I have a couple of colleagues who report on the national news, but I can't think of anybody else in a management position. And it's so important that changes, and soon. And I always tell people who do stop me at the grocery store and wherever else and say, well, our stories aren't told, meaning minority stories aren't told. And I said, when it comes down to it, this is a business. If you have a problem, phone, email, do what you can, because they will respond. It's a business. Mm-hmm. And if they know that you're not happy and you represent the business that might turn to another station, they'll respond.
And again, I think that's another area where broadcast is probably ahead of print, because a byline is very anonymous. I mean, sometimes you can tell gender, but even then, sometimes you can't. And so you can't tell the makeup of the newsroom and what it looks like from bylines.
Exactly.
So, I mean, perhaps that's an area where broadcast is really sort of moving ahead.
Yeah, when everyone's named Cody now, we're never going to know. Okay, thank you very much, panelists. We have a few minutes left, and I'd love to get some comments and questions from the floor. And we have back here in the blue sweater.
Well, I'd love to bring it back to the mommy trap, but I'm just curious, because you said that you're making it work, Marcy?
Yes.
And so I just wanted to know how, because I sort of feel like Emma. I worked at CBC for 7 years, and I had no idea how I would do my job. And it's totally...
Here's the thing. What's your name?
Oh, my name's Anne.
Hi, Anne. Here's the thing. Decisions have to be made, right? And there are tough ones. But what you don't want to live with are regrets. You don't want to regret not having a family or not having done something because you wanted to work and you wanted to do your job. Hey, you're going to have to take a risk if that's what you want. And it doesn't mean you have to take a year off, a year mat leave, but it does mean someone's going to have to take care of your baby that's not you, maybe, for a period of time. But decisions have to be made. They're not easy ones, but is it possible? Yeah. Are my kids functional, great kids, good human beings? I haven't screwed the 7-month-old up yet. The 7-year-old's doing pretty well. They're happy kids. And as I say, sometimes my house isn't perfectly clean, and because sometimes I just want to read my kids a story. And I can't tell you that there's perfect balance, that elusive balance. That's just something that I've never dealt well with. I just do the best that I can. But I spend as much time with my